All right, 7.3% equations and applications. Last class, we left off with percent and proportions. So we're looking at percent equations today. So either way, whether you use percent equations, if you use equations or proportions in order to solve your percent problems, you will still get the same answer, regardless as to which way you set it up. It's just a preference on which way you decide to use. So here in this first one, what is 30% of 60? So mathematically, what is always going to be our unknown, our variable? Is our equal sign. 30%, you convert that to a decimal. And then of mathematically is multiplication, while that 60 is going to be the number 60. Once you set up your equation according to the symbols that you have, go ahead and solve or simplify. That 0.3 times 60 is going to be 18. So you see that x is equal to 18. All right. Any problems? Okay, scrolling up. All right. Next one, 142% of 75 amounts to what number? 142%, once again, converted to a decimal, it's 1.42. Of its multiplication, 75 is 75. Amounts to is another way of saying equal or is. And then what number is going to be your variable? All right, any problems? Then 1.42 times 75 is 106.5. All right, scrolling up. All right, next one, 40% of what number is 225? Once again, we keep our same translation of words to symbols. That 40% is 0.4 of multiplication. What number is our variable? Is equal to 225 is 225. So now you have 0.4x equal to 225. Now we need to solve for x, and we would divide both sides by 0.4. That will cancel out the 0.4 on the left, leaving you with just x. Then 225 divided by 0.4, 562.5.
What made you divide? I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Well, you want to solve for x. Yep. So since you want to get x by itself, you want to have x equal to. So you need to get that 0.4 off of x. So you divide both sides by that 0.4. So if you go back to our other ones, notice x was already on one side by itself. So we didn't have to deal with that after we did our setup. But in this one, the unknown was being multiplied by that 0.4. And so that's why we had to solve for x.
So it just depends on the wording, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Questions before we go to the next one? All right. 75 is what percent of 250? So we have 75 equal to x times 250. So once again, our x is attached to a number, and we're going to have to solve for x in order to get it by itself. I have to glue the lid off that thing. All right. So 75 equal to 250x. Divide both sides by 250. That'll be 0.3. Or if they want it as a percentage, that'll be 30%. So it all depends on what they ask of you, what they want their final answer in, whether they want it in decimal form or percent form. All right. Questions? Any questions? All right. So here, let's look at more of a word problem. Hold on, let me see if they gave us more than one. Yep. Okay, just making sure. So we have 46 panthers are thought to live in Florida's Big Cypress National Preserve. This represents 53% of the panthers living in Florida. How many panthers are there in Florida? Round to the nearest whole unit. So I'll give you a chance to write that before I start talking. So once again, 46 panthers are thought to live in this preserve in Florida. This represents 53% of the panthers living in Florida. How many panthers are there in Florida? And notice the key word here is 53% of panthers living in Florida. So if we want to write this in the terms of how we were looking at sentences before this one, 46 is 53% of the panthers in Florida. Remember, it says 46 panthers are thought to live in Florida's preserve. This is 53% of the panthers living in Florida. So that's what we have here. 46 is 53% of the panthers in Florida. So once we set it up this way, we can go ahead and translate it using is and of in our decimal for percent. So that would be 46 equal to 0.3 P. And when we have that set up, we're trying to solve for P. And we divide both sides by that 0.53. So we can get P by itself. That gives us 86.79. And don't forget, it tells us to round to the nearest whole unit. because there's no such thing as a 0.79 of a panther. So you round it up to 87. Any questions? Any questions? All right. Next one, football player Tom Brady of New England. And this is an old problem, of course. Football player Tom Brady of New England led his team to numerous Super Bowl victories. For one game during the season, Brady completed 23 of 30 passes. What percent of passes did he complete? All right, so the way we can look at it is 23 is what percent of 30? All right, you're trying to figure out what percent. Percent is always going to be multiplied times the total amount. So I do what percent of 30? 30 was the total amount. And so we set it up that way. Once you have that wording, then once again, you just follow the symbolism that flow with those words. All right. So we have 30p equal to 23 divided by 30. And that'll be 70.6.7% of his passes. All right, questions on that? Any questions? All right. 7.4, few applications. So the first one is sales tax. You have a sales tax formula. If you want to know the amount of sales tax, then you would take your tax rate, multiply it times the cost of the merchandise. All right, so it says suppose a new mid-sized car sells for $26,000. Says compute the sales tax. Yep, for a tax rate of 5.5%.
Is that a minus or a multiply sign?
Multiplication.
Okay.
Tell me in between tax rate and cost of merchandise, correct?
Yes.
Yep, multiplication. All right, so we want to find the sales tax. Just going to take the tax rate and don't forget to convert that to a decimal. And this should be 0.0. 0.55. Move that decimal 2 places to the left. Then multiply times the 26,000. That'll be 1430, 1,430. Hold on 1 second. All right, sorry about that. And so what is the total price of the car? Total price will be the sales tax plus the cost of merchandise. So the sales tax is 1430, cost of merchandise 26,000. So that's 27,430. Questions? Any questions? All right, can I scroll up?
Yeah, I see. Can you tell me what B is?
There you go. Right there.
Yes. Okay. You can scroll down after, like, past the question. After, like, the red part.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, so commission formula is the next one that we're looking at. So that's going to be the amount of commission, very similar to what we did with the tax rate. The amount of commission is going to be equal to the commission rate, excuse me, times the total sales. I don't know why I use an X there instead of the multiplication dot. Try to stay consistent. So commission rate times total sales. All right. Good. Okay. So Alexis works in real estate. If she sells $150,000, a $150,000 house, I can write that better. Write it over here. So if she sells $150,000 house and earns a commission of $10,500, what is her commission rate? So notice this time they didn't actually give us the commission rate. Say that she sold $150,000 house and earns a commission of $10,500. What is the commission rate? So we set up what we know. Go back to the formula. The amount of commission is equal to the commission rate times the total sales. So commission rate is what we're trying to find out. So that's our R, or if you want to call it X, you can call it X. Total sales, 150,000. And then the commission was 10,500. So this is what we're looking at, 150,000 R equal to 10,500. So if we want to solve for R, we would have to divide both sides by that 150,000. 150,000 will cancel. And that would end up being a 7% commission rate. All right. Questions? Any questions? Oh, we had a part B. At this rate, how much will she earn? Write that sheet better. By selling a $200,000 house. All right. So we take that 7%, multiply it times 200,000, $14,000. All right. Questions? Any questions? All right. Discount formula. Very similar to what we dealt with up to this point. Amount of discount is going to be equal to the discount rate times the original price. And then the sales price is going to be the original price minus the amount of discount. All right. All right, so problem under this section, under this formula, says a gold chain originally priced $500 is marked down to $375. What is the discount rate? So first thing we would do, and notice what we're looking for here. We have the original price of $500. We know that was marked down to $375. Wanted to find the discount rate. So the discount amount is the first thing we can find, which is 500 minus the 375. That'll be 125 for us. Then we lean on this formula right here, the amount of discount equal to the discount rate times the original price. So that amount of discount is 125. Discount rate is what we're looking for, R. Original price 500. So now we can solve for R by dividing both sides by 500. 125 divided by 500 is going to be 25%. All right, questions? Any questions?
Can you scroll back up to the problem, like the word problem? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can scroll down. I gotta like write the rest of the
Right.
problem. Sorry.
Cool. Oh no, you're fine. All right, any questions before I think we got just one more left, but we'll see.
Okay.
All right, sounds good, sounds good. Hold on, let me see how much. Oh, one last thing, percent increase and decrease. Okay, cool. All right, so markup formulas. The amount of markup is going to be equal to markup times the original price. Retail price is going to be original price plus the amount of markup. Once again, a lot of these are very similar. But, looking at sales and discount, you will subtract markup, you're going to add. All right. So college bookstore markup or marks up the price of books 40%. What is the markup for a textbook that has a manufacturer price of $66? So once again, 40% converts to 0.4 as a decimal. To calculate the manufacturer price, you will multiply 0.4 times that 66 to find the amount of markup. So that's $26.40. Then they ask us what is the retail price of the book. So we'll take that and add it to the $66. So 66 plus 26.40, it's going to be 92.40 for the book. All right, any questions before we look at the last thing from this section? All right. Last things, percent increase and percent decrease. You find both of them the same way. Percent increase, find the amount of increase, divide by the original price, multiply by 100%. Percent decrease, find the amount of decrease, divided by the original price, and then multiply by 100%. And in both cases, to find the amount of whether it's increase or decrease, all you're doing is subtracting your two values. Then you'll divide by the original price, multiply by 100%. So whatever two values they give you, subtract those two values, divide by the original price, multiply by 100%. So this last one, the price of heating oil rose from an average of $2.20 per gallon to $2.75 per gallon in 1 year. Complete the percent, or compute the percent increase. Compute the percent increase. All right. So, as I mentioned, to find the amount of increase, all you would do is subtract the two values from each other. So that's 275 minus the 220. That gives you 0.55. Take the 0.55, divide by the original price, which is 220. Once again, you always go back to the original price. Multiply it times 100%, and that'll be 25%. All right, questions? Any questions? All right. Any questions on anything I've said today? All right. So that's it for today. That's sections 7.3 and 7.4. So next class, I'll open the floor for questions, see if anybody have any before I go any further or do anything else. How come I don't see? Okay, looking at something else. So let's see, somebody saying something in the chat. No problem. Thank you for coming through. So like I said, next class we'll open up the floor for questions, see if anybody have any, and then we'll go from there, talk about what we're going to do moving forward in the class.
I have a question, not with what we just went over, but I just have a question in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm moving, so I've kind of been like backed up with not backed up with the homework, but I've been doing it last minute. So the 5 point something homework is not an actual like there's no due date, right? Is it just do it when you can? I
We want
haven't
to get
done
it.
that yet.
Yeah, we want to get it done by 5th week grading period. Let's see. I meant to put that in there this weekend. I forgot to go and do it. Let's see. We started this semester January 27th, I believe.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm just counting back weeks. So I'm assuming we're going off the first 4 weeks. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5th week is next week. So I'm assuming by the 8th, 7th or 8th, y'all got to have it in so I can put in grades that
Okay.
following week. So I'm going to confirm that. I meant to put that into, like I said, into Connect Math so that you guys can actually see it. And I will change that. I should be able to do it this evening. I'm going to make sure of that. But Sunday the 7th, March 7th, I'm assuming that's going to be the date because then I have to get in that 5th week grading probably on the 8th or the 9th. So you'll have until then to get, all that stuff in. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. So you guys have a good one. Be safe, and I will see you on Wednesday.